So I'm going to give a little presentation today with Toby. I want to just take a moment just to talk about, why we're here and how we got here today. So the team Rizzo participates in the BitTensor network. As I've said, I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. But essentially, we partnered. Thank you. We partnered with DNA. We merged together. We made a very strategic move. DNA was really excited to get into the ecosystem of what we always kind of coin AI meets crypto, and BitTensor being the big gorilla there. And so we came together, saw a lot of advantage in joining forces, expanding our reach, and here we are today to expand on that a little bit more. So we're going to dive into a little presentation about Subnet 45. I have, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to call you Zerobit or Toby. You have a preference? But this is the CEO of Talisman Wallet, the greatest crypto wallet out there. And we just partnered, made a joint venture that we're going to talk about with Subnet 45. And we're going to dive into the details of what that really looks like, and some of the mechanics, and the just a really good look underneath the hood. So with that, we'll dive right in. See if this works. You might have to cue me on some slides. All right. All right. Okay. So continuing my introduction, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've started many businesses, failed many businesses, successful with a few, exited a few, and here we are today. I help lead the Rizzo Team Rizzo. And you can see some stats here. We've been in the ecosystem since the beginning, early 2022. We validate on our own hardware, bare metal, across all 128 subnets. We have a couple subnets of our own. What else am I missing here? We do mining operations, and we're happy to be here to present today. The point of the conversation is really, what is this Talisman wallet and this Talisman AI? How do these come together? I get a lot of questions like, did Talisman buy Subnet 45? Do you guys still participate? And really, this is more like a joint venture. Okay, we came together strategically. We saw a really big opportunity here. Zerobit was like, hey, we're going to do some really crazy AI stuff. And I said, we should do a subnet together. And she was like, heck yeah, let's go. And we just started diving in on the architecture, what that looked like. We came up with an amazing tokenomics model, and let's run through that today. So with that, maybe Toby, you can do a little intro on your side.
Sounds good. Thanks, Greg, Frank.
Rizzo.
So Talisman, we've been around since 2021. We're probably right now the leading wallet in BitTensor. We have more than 155,000 active installs, around 30,000 monthly actives, and over $2 billion in assets under management right now, of which a large portion is in BitTensor. An exciting, stat that we have recently is that we've reached about 300 million monthly volume in BitTensor. So that's a big driver of what we're going to bring to the subnet as well. So just diving deeper onto what are we up to with AI agents and what are we up to with Subnet 45. Basically, Talisman is a multi-chain wallet. We support more than 900 assets, and that includes substrate-based ecosystems such as BitTensor, but it also expands across EVM, Solana, and many more networks to come in the future. Our main competitive advantage is our multi-chain interface, which we think is the best multi-chain interface in Web3. You can see your assets without having to switch between networks and accounts. So you can see your USDC or your ETH across everything all at once without having to dig deep into your account structure and lose all of your tokens in the process. In terms of BitTensor, we've been super dedicated to being the all-in-one wallet for BitTensor, and that covers a lot of key features, including you could see all of your detail balances all at once, straight from your portfolio, including your TAL, your stake TAL, and then all of the all of the alpha tokens that you have and your emissions and everything. You can also stake to rootnet directly in Tau and get, your stable emissions there. You can swap into subnets, and you can on and off ramp straight from fiat right in the wallet. So we're making a shift into the future of what is the wallet. I think a long time ago, wallets were focused mainly on chains entirely. So you would have an EVM wallet only or Solana wallet only. And then Phantom came around and started multi-chain, and they started focusing on the social aspect, the account first kind of design of the wallet. And we've always been focused on multi-chain. And I think that's very relevant for the crypto market these days because users don't really care what network their assets are on. They just want to find the best opportunities for that asset on various networks. So we've always been really at the forefront of what a wallet is and what a user interface is to the crypto user. And now we're evolving into the wallet of the future, which is what we call the intelligent wallet. So moving on into the intelligent wallet era, we are working with with Rizzo on Bitensor to make this possible. Underlying this whole shift is what we believe is the ultimate user need, which is yield. So when you ask users what they care about, of course they care about keeping their crypto safe. But what they really care about is generating returns on that crypto. I mean, that is probably a large reason why most people are in crypto, and speculation or like yield generation is the main driver there. But we've also looked at our stats in our wallet, and it's surprising that more than 60% of user assets are actually idle in wallets. That means like not even in a staking contract, just sitting there in a wallet. So there's so much potential to activate this, but users, they just don't have time to go look up yield opportunities, or they're into DeFi and really don't have the energy or the knowledge to manage all of that positions all at once. So if all of those users were to activate their assets in a risk-adjusted manner, they could probably achieve about 3 to 10 times more yield than they're getting now. So we believe that's a really strong proposition for the user, and the wallet will help them do that easier. And even more through like integrating the AI agents in the wallet, this will just like supercharge that in terms of convenience and access to yield. So why is the wallet the best place for an agent? First of all, this is where all the users have their keys, their assets. So it's the most convenient place to activate those assets. Just with a click of a button, you can generate yield. Second of all, the wallet allows the users to retain ownership of their keys, and also transparency of all of the actions that are going on within their wallet can be fully visible on chain. So what does AI agents in the wallet look like? You can see this general structure here. It's what we call the wallet stack of the future. So on the left is the wallet stack of now, which is essentially a user interface and the various modules that help the user interact with the chain. We're building out right now everything on the right side, which includes the logic that the agent will kind of like they propose different trades or different actions within the wallet, the APIs that will interact with the wallet itself, and then the entire kind of like smart wallet infrastructure that's needed to help the agents then interact with the user funds. So we believe very strongly that if it's not your agents and not your crypto, you can definitely get yield by throwing your coins into a smart contract or what we call like a vault. But then you have to deal with third-party risk, and basically all of your coins are in the same pool as all the other users, and you're not able to personalize your risk or your yield to what you need and what you can accept. So what we're building here with Rizzo is that every wallet can set up multiple agents running different strategies with different risk levels and different yield targets, and each of them will be holding their own funds in their own agent wallet. Ultimately, the system will look something like this, which is on the left here, which is a asset-based decentralized trading platform, which will allow users to discover yield opportunities, and it will also let them see like the different trading signals agent suggestions, also deploy agents, and ultimately have like a fully automated trading system right in their wallet. So that leads us to how does BitTensor and Subnet 45 tie into all of this? Well, I will hand it back to Greg.
So basically, to sum it up, what Subnet 45 is, it is the artificial intelligence arm of the Talisman wallet. We are here to build product that makes you and your wallet have an advantage over every other crypto wallet out there, give you an advantage over the normie that's just throwing it in the vault that we were just speaking about. And so we're going to customize that to your needs and your risk level. And we're going to do that in a very interesting way. So when we talk about the architecture of what Subnet 45 is and how it works, we kind of break it down into these 3 layers or even these 3 phases. And so the first one being the perception layer, right? This is where we're grabbing a bunch of data. The way I like to use an analogy for this is this is the eyes and ears of the subnet, right? We're going to just scrape data from Twitter and various sources. And then we're going to take that down to a lower layer or a lower phase, which is your reasoning phase. This is where we're going to categorize that, where we're going to grade that. We're going to decide how relevant it is. And then we're going to spit that out to our bottom layer, which is our action layer or our action phase. And that's where we're going to send that information to you in different forms. And so that's kind of our, whereas the reasoning is the brain layer, if you will, the action layer is what I like to call the arms and the hands and even the legs. And the reason that I say legs is because maybe you're going to get a signal where you need to run away from that trade or, or whatever that might look like. And so when we operate and we talk about Subnet 45 and these 3 layers, that's both for the developmental side and the timeline. And so kind of going into the next phase here, or let me zoom in here a little bit. I don't know if I'm in the way here, but basically what you can see here is we have miners running and they're gathering information and they're batching that up for us. And this is on that first layer. This is that eyes and ears layer. This is the perception layer. And then they're sending it over to the reasoning layer where we're going to manipulate and we're going to grade that data and we're going to categorize that data. Is this FUD? Is this, an announcement? Is this a partnership? Is this somebody posting that carries a lot of weight in the ecosystem? And we're going to utilize all of that to help you make good decisions. I'll get out of the way one more time. Let me go to this side. So this is kind of an interesting plot, right? What you're looking at here is Subnet 45, a little price action on Subnet 45. And what's interesting about this is a 3-week timeline, very recent. And down here we had price action kind of low. And then somebody made a post that carried a lot of weight on Twitter. And all of a sudden, price action went up. I made a post or somebody made a post and it went up even higher. This vertical red dotted line is when we changed the name of our subnet over to Talisman AI. And so then if you look at the top, this red dot, this is somebody that carried some major weight that said something bad. And we went down. And so we have this feeling that, these social media posts, it feels like they're manipulating the price action of our tokens. And we believe that to be true. We're not really sure if that's true, but now we're creating a way to actually prove that that's true, to measure that and to give you those signals. And so this is just one small feature, but it's very important to be able to give this to the end user so that they can make informed decisions. And so what we have here is a timeline. Everybody wants to know, what's the roadmap? What are the features? When, right? And so we try to break this down. I say this is a 6-month roadmap, and in crypto, 6 months is like 5 years. So I don't know if that's relevant, but I think that to say this is 6 months gives us the opportunity to underpromise and overdeliver. And so what we're seeing here is we're seeing these 3 phases play out, whereas this first 90 days is really what we're doing in the DTAO ecosystem, right? We're really getting good at providing alpha for your alpha, right? And as we get even better at that, at the next 90 days, we're going to carry that over into other chains so that the wallet is more of a holistic product and not just focused on these AI tools on just detail. And so we have some integrations we just launched, and we have some integrations in the works. We just talked about an integration recently with the Macrocosmos team, Subnet 13. And so we're leveraging their platform, what they've gotten really good at, to grab data off of Twitter. There's a bunch of reasons why we would do this, both for miners and validators. We're playing with that now. But I think it's important to integrate with existing subnets because they've already figured it out. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. And I think there's a lot of value in partnering with other subnets because it makes you both stronger, right? And so we have 4 other integrations planned. I'm not going to give those up today because I need a little bit of marketing powder. But nonetheless, we've got some pretty exciting ones that if you do your homework on the different subnets and what they do and try to relate those to a BitTensor related wallet, you can kind of figure out what some of those integrations might be. So stay tuned on those.
Before we go into tokens, which I think is a lot of like the Tensor interest around how we're gonna deal with the tokenomics there, we just wanted to highlight what Talisman's roadmap is to match the subnet roadmap. So a large portion of the DTAL infrastructure has already been built out, but now we're also building out the DeFi infrastructure for the agents to interact with. So what we shipped a few, maybe like 2 months ago, was a unified DeFi view where you can see all of your DeFi protocols over 30 different networks. And what is going to come out in the next few weeks is this kind of like DeFi in a wallet. So you'll have an asset you can just click and enter into stablecoin positions or DeFi positions that generate a large amount of yield. And then the step beyond that is to automate all of this and to then activate which asset goes to which position within the wallet. And that's the AI layer or the DeFi AI layer of all of this. Obviously, we're not going to, run with your money freely in an agent from day one. We'll be starting with signals like the Twitter signals, which are pretty unique signal generation for our agents, but also for other developers who might want to use those signals to develop trading strategies as well. And so we can probably kind of guess that a large portion of this will be an open platform for development, which will be powered by BitTensor on the back end, and it will be run on the front end by Talisman. But we will be deploying a token called Seek in 2 weeks from now. And Seek it is lubricating the wheels of this ecosystem on the front end, whereas Subnet 45 is handling all of the back end elements to this ecosystem. Do you want to do this one?
Sure.
Okay.
So the partnership that we created here is actually very simple, yet very thorough in doing something that we're really focused on, which is applying buy pressure to the subnet. We have a new change in the BitTensor ecosystem where the way emissions are graded you have to have constant buy pressure on the subnet in order for it to rank. And so in doing so, you have to come up with that really good flywheel. Some people are getting really, really creative. I think creative is fantastic, but I don't think that you need to be all that creative. You need to do something that makes sense. What we've done in our partnership is that we've negotiated to take a piece of trading revenue that the Talisman wallet receives and carve that out and buy and burn our subnet tokens. Very simple. As the Talisman wallet grows, so does that revenue, so does that buy and burn, and that keeps things very simple. Whereas on the other side of the equation, thank you for switching to that. The other side of the equation, the Seek token is doing things more similar to what BNB would do, where you're doing programs like staking programs, governance, a little feature unlocks, etc. So it's important to note that these tokens are mutually exclusive. If the Subnet 45 token completely skyrockets or even crashes the other direction, That really doesn't affect what's happening with Seek token and vice versa. So did you want to add any color to that?
Yeah, just like to push that point a bit more. The more users Talisman has, the more AI strategies that we will need to run, which will then increase demand for the subnet, and we'll get more miners, which will then create better models. And this is like a very virtuous cycle where we'll then push more Talisman users, which will then drive the buyback of subnet tokens higher. So it's really a synergistic flywheel that I think like it fits together very well, especially like one big platform can't do everything all at once, so you have to have the right pieces of the puzzle to work together. And I think that was most of our talk.
Yep. That was it. But that's a wrap. Any Q&A we can do with you guys.
How do you like the sentiment, right? Like how do you do like somebody being sarcastic or something? And so I guess that's what the AI is doing.
We categorize, and I mean, I think that's a more appropriate question for someone like Jake that was talking about the technical side earlier. While I have you here, Jake, and I won't have you on the AMA tomorrow, why don't you go ahead and give me the real answer, the technical answer for how you program the AI to decide and weigh how that tweet is assessed and categorized and graded. Yeah, so we made it super modular. So taking kind of all these things we learned about tool calling from VidAgent and Bounty Hunter, we made a tool for every single type of information that we want to extract from the tweet. So if you want to say, hey, is this a economic tweet? Is this a partnership? You ask specifically just that to the model, and you extract all of these different categories. You have a list of features, and then that lets you have for every single tweet what it was classified as, and you can make these plots now that say, hey, the average partnership in BidTensor gives you a 4% yield, and we can kind of say that definitively about emissions and things like that. So it's all using LLMs with that smallest possible question design. That makes sense? Very cool stuff. Yeah, other questions?
How long is the automated trading is start off?
That's tomorrow. No, it's not about that. You're visiting my team. They're like, no, don't say that. We're getting there. So when we talked about roadmap, we set that for 90 days building out what we want to build out. So we could exceed that. We could pump the brakes on that. We're still new in our partnership, so we're trying to learn how to work together as a team. Sometimes what we think that we need to jump into right now isn't aligned with roadmap on the Talisman side. So we have regular meetings between both teams to really understand and prioritize and push out. And so we're young, but we're getting good at it.
And how does the changes that they just made last week impact kind of what you guys would think? Did it change?
It did not. I think there's one thing that I'd like to say that we're pretty good at between the two teams, and that is messaging marketing. And so we have direct comms on just that each week as well. And we want to keep people informed. We want to stay transparent. We want to help people understand what priorities are. And in doing just that, the hive just builds. And so leaking little one word hints or telling people directly what we're about to do has been really beneficial to us, as you saw the plot earlier in the slides. Do we pay what? I'm sorry. Yeah, so in the BitTensor ecosystem, there's 7,200 tokens emitted per day, and 41% of those goes to the miners. So the miners that are working are already being incentivized, the validators are being incentivized, and the subnet owners are as well. And so from a utility perspective, I think that's more of the utility. The token itself, we're providing, if you will, is that AI, those agents to the Talisman wallet. That's that's what we're bringing to the table. And then we're utilizing emissions, revenue, etc., to make that flywheel.
I think it'll be also interesting as like that those APIs, those signal generators or signal analyzers evolve to open up the API to other applications as well. And then the utility would be like payment for services, right?
Definitely.
And that will drive the subnet demand even more as well.
Definitely.
The biggest is like there's a lot of cell pressure climbers, right? They're writing out code in this LLD.
The SIG token primarily is up that physical bit or the cheese of that based on the attempt, yeah.
That's exactly right. And when you first launch a subnet, as Jake said in his earlier presentation, you really have to monitor and don't be afraid to burn those minor emissions, because you don't want to just give so much money to a couple miners who are just going to kill you with cell pressure. And so if the value is not being brought, we don't want to release the emissions. So we'll do that slowly over time. I think we're doing a 90% burn right now. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. Thank you guys very much.
Anchor.